And also from Governor Newsom, well, he is rolling out the red carpet for our neighbors to the north. Watch.
We want to make sure we send a message to our Canadian friends up north to come to a state where 2 million Canadians visited last year, to come visit a state where there's something for everybody. Visit California.
Okay, the governor's invitation comes as the U.S. is tracking a big drop in tourism from around the world. Take a look at this. Travel from Canada and Mexico was down double digits in March. We're also seeing fewer visitors from Western Europe, Central and South Asia, South America, I should say, Asia, Africa, even Australia, really all over the world. We are seeing this big drop. On the flip side, though, more Americans are thinking about moving abroad. That's according to a recent Harris poll. 42% have already considered or plan to consider and relocate outside the U.S. The top expat destination, you guessed it.
Do you want to move to Canada? Because I do. And I am.
I just moved to Toronto, Canada, from Raleigh, North Carolina.
My Canadian immigration process starts in about a week.
We can finally say it. We can finally talk about it. We are moving to Canada.
Yes, Canada. So joining me now is Dr. Hisham Jadud, professor of hospitality and tourism at USC. Professor, welcome. Thank you. Let's start with the tourism trickle-down effect here. How much do states like California rely on international travelers? And to that point, what do you make of the governor's move here to try to lure Canadians?
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. Well, tourism in California is a big business, especially for places like LA and Palm Springs. For example, Palm Springs, California receives over 300,000 Canadian tourists every year, which is a huge number, and it may have a lot of impact. California as a whole has forecasted to generate $6 billion less in revenues in 2025 compared to 2024. And the big reason behind this deficit, obviously, is the 9% drop in international tourists, mainly from Canada, compared to last year. And California has seen also a 12% drop in Canadian tourists, specifically to the state. And this could have big implications because it does not apply to California only, it applies to different states as well. But specifically to Gavin Newsom's message, I believe that Canadians were quick to respond to the governor's plea by highlighting that the risk of crossing the borders due to the current federal government policies is becoming very risky, and Canadians prefer to stay home and support the Canadian and local tourism. In my view, this is more of emotional. It used to be an emotionally charged issue. Now it's becoming more a safety concern. Canadians crossing the border don't feel safe anymore. All the goodwill from U.S. tourism professionals trying to recover the Canadian tourism may not work because, as I said, this is becoming more of a Canadian safety and security concern than emotional concern. But when Canadian tourists are concerned about their security, it's going to be hard to convince them to come back. So that's some of the concerns we have seen lately in the market, and that impacts different sectors of the industry.
You know, besides COVID, putting that aside, sort of an outlier, have we ever seen a global drop in tourism like this before?
In my view, I would say no, we haven't. The last government actions, I would say, have impacted tourism in California heavily. Canadians have already started diverting their plans, as you mentioned earlier. In hotels, for example, summer 2025 bookings from Canada to the U.S. Have declined by over 70% in the last year. And the airline have also responded to the decreased demand by cutting over 300,000 seats on Canada's U.S. trips between March and August 2025. This is a huge impact. And we see also from Air Canada that was highlighted last week, Air Canada scaled back its flights from Vancouver, reducing trips to California, Miami, Houston, due to the decline in Canadian interest in the U.S. market. We have not seen a decline like this before, and this is going to impact a lot of sectors in the industry, as I mentioned, anything from resorts to hotels to casinos to airlines to travel agencies and what have you. And for example, just an example from last period, we have seen last break in March, California saw a very soft demand in terms of tourism and hospitality. Demand impacted direct and indirect job benefiting from tourism. As I mentioned, direct can cover anything from hotels and resorts, and indirect covers anything from taxi drivers and tour guides and gift shops and what have you. So we have not seen a decline like this one before, in my opinion. And in my view, also, even if the trade wars comes down, the damage is already done. And the California markets has seen a lot of cancellations in hotels and restaurants. And wait until June and July, which are the highest and peakest month, and we're going to see higher cancellation numbers as well.
Well, it'll be interesting to watch for that. Professor, thank you so much. Hisham Jadoud, thank you for joining us.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.